Put your headphones on for this. Hear how that eerie voice moves around you? That's not an editing trick. That's real 3D audio running live inside my own game engine. Because here's the thing, a horror game without sound isn't scary, it's just art. So this week, I gave Project Veil ears. I integrated FMOD, the audio engine behind Geometry Dash, Skylanders, and Roblox into my custom C++ engine. And I broke my build 3 times doing it. Hey guys, it's Soji. Let's go ahead and get straight to it. Quick context, if you're here, Project Veil is a horror engine I'm building from scratch in C++ on top of Raylib. The plan for audio was never just to play a sound file. Horror lives and dies on the adaptive audio, sounds that react to where you are and what's happening around you. FMOD does exactly that in both the 2D and 3D space, and I keep seeing it in the credits of games I've actually played, so it's already battle tested. The end goal is a 3D horror space full of sounds driven by suspenseful gameplay. But for this video, I'm testing with something friendlier, my drum kits and music loops. It's just about the same tech, fewer nightmares, but only for now. Step 1. Download FMOD from the website. And this is where I fumbled immediately. I grabbed the universal Windows platform version. Sounds right, but it's not. The moment I compiled and ran the game, I got a DLL error. What you actually want is the FMOD engine, the source package for integrating into lower level custom projects. I used version 2.3, but grab whatever's latest when you're watching for features and security patches. Run the install as an administrator and stop when you hit the components page. Disable everything because we only need the source code, and then install it into a separate folder inside of your project. Mine specifically went into my third-party FMOD folder. Next, open up the API folder inside the install, hold the studio and core folders out into your FMOD folder, and delete the rest of the installation. Congratulations, FMOD is now sitting in your project doing absolutely nothing. Let's go ahead and fix that. Before writing any code, I had to learn how FMOD thinks. Their official channel, FMOD TV, carried me here. Link in the description. So for the short version, sounds in FMOD live inside events, and events are built from sheets. Timeless sheets play audio over time, like your loops and your music tracks. Action sheets are fire and forget. Trigger a sound, it plays, done. And parameter sheets, these are the magic ones. Audio driven by a value from your game. Player health drops, the music changes it. That one is a feature of Project Veil's horror design. I haven't built anything real in the engine yet, the studio, and that's for a future devlog. But for this week's boss fight was getting FMOD into the engine at all. So, FMOD was sitting in my project files, but my code couldn't see it. To make it accessible, FMOD needs to be its own CMake project. I wrote a CMake list.txt inside the FMOD folder, but my first attempt, it built, and it refused to find a single include file. Compile is fine, completely fine. The culprit? I never added the imported release and debug library files. The target existed, but there was nothing real behind it. I reviewed and fixed up the setup with Claude Code, and this time everything resolved. Then, in Project Veil's main CMake list, I added FMOD to the static libraries, and the engine could finally speak FMOD. One bonus trick I found while researching: a CMake custom command that copies the DLL files into the build folder automatically. Thankfully, no more manual copying after every build. It works so well, I pointed it at my resources folder too. Now every sound I drop into the resources ships itself into the build. Small win, huge quality of life. Everything connects in one class, the audio manager, and it has 4 jobs: waking up, loading everything, staying updated, and shutting down clearly. Now, for initialization, FMOD is really 2 systems in a trench coat. The core system does the raw audio work, and the studio system wraps around it with events and banks. On startup, I create a studio system, initialize it with 32 channels and default settings, then pull the core system out of it since it's literally just a wrapper. Next, the engine needs to find sounds on its own. After checking FMOD is actually active, I use C23's file system to scan the resource folder. Then I build a path from the active resource folder, keep a string vector of valid audio extensions, and use a range for loop for every entry as long as the extension is on the list. I then store the name and path, load it as a FMOD sound in 3D, that's what unlocks the spatial audio later, and push it into a sound list so we can look it up by name. Banks get the same treatment but are simpler. There are two main differences, however. One, we check for the bank extension specifically, and two, we load the sample data up front. Preloading costs us memory, but it means 0 hitches when a sound first plays. You could lazy load on play event instead, however, I choose to spend the memory. Now, with every frame, the manager has to update the studio system, and that's generally it. But the one extra thing it has to do is update the audio listener. Each frame, I grab the current player in the scene and push their position into the studio system. That way, that's the point in space where all of the audio is heard from, basically being your ears in the game world. When the game closes, everything unwinds in order. Release every sound in the list, clear the list, unload all banks, release the studio system, and no blink pointers. No leaks, no errors on exit. And with that, Project Veil officially has an audio system, but loading sounds is nice. However, hearing them is the point. Remember that audio listener? It's more than a position. I feed it location, rotation, and velocity. Then a pile of vector 3 cross products and vector 3 normalizes to build proper forward and up vectors. I did have to reverse the right one though because Raylib and FMOD uses two different vector points. But with that in place, I gave every game object the ability to play a sound, whether that's by file name or by FMOD banks. Now for like regular sounds, we use raw files. Search the sound list by name, create an FMOD channel to hold the sound and any effects, play it, then set the channel's 3D attributes from the object. The object's position in the world becomes the sound's position in your ears. Even banks work the same way, with one extra layer. They get event descriptions for the event path and already loaded in the studio. And when we spawn an instance of the game object, if the object is already making noise, we stop the old instance first. Then we load the object's 3D attributes onto the instance, start it, and immediately release it. Releasing doesn't kill it immediately. It tells FMOD to clean up the instance automatically the moment it finishes playing, like fire and forget. So here's where Project Veil stands. Full 3D positional audio, automatic sound loading, bank support, and a real audio system inside a real engine. Next step is the scary part, literally hooking FMOD parameters into the gameplay so the audio knows something is hunting you before you do. If you want to watch this become an actual horror game, subscribe. The code's on my GitHub, everything's linked below, and it's so cheap. See you in the next one.